If LinkedIn feels confusing for you, or maybe you've just never used it for your business, you might have had your profile from when you were in a career and now you've started a business. Everyone keeps telling you you should be on LinkedIn, but you're not quite sure how it works. Or maybe you are on there and you're not getting the results that you want. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how you can be using it strategically to boost your visibility, to help with lead generation, to ensure that you're the go-to person in your space. I'm Shalina, also known as the LinkedIn Lady. I'm a LinkedIn and a visibility strategist. I work with solopreneurs, helping them to get visible on LinkedIn. For the most part, these are female entrepreneurs over the age of 40. They struggle with putting themselves out there. They struggle with carving out a lane and positioning themselves correctly so that they become the go-to person in their space. The women that I work with are either really confident and they know what they're doing and they've done well on other platforms and they just need to translate that onto LinkedIn, or it could be that they've had success offline and they're bringing that online. Or at the other end of the spectrum, it's a woman who just is really lacking in confidence, maybe is a little bit afraid of the technology and just needs somebody to hold their hand. So let me get into what I want to share with you in this video. I'm going to walk you through the various sections on LinkedIn, the things that you need to pay attention to, the things that perhaps you can ignore and avoid. I want to share with you how you can think about the various sections on LinkedIn strategically. I think of it as a bit of a puzzle, and the pieces have to fit together for you to get that beautiful picture at the end. And that beautiful picture is the clients, the opportunities, the leads. So let's start first of all with the homepage, right? So many people will come to LinkedIn, right? They'll spend their time here on the homepage. So they'll scroll through the posts, they may like a few, they may comment, and then they leave. Right. But strategically, the homepage is not just for scrolling. It is really for signal gathering. So that's when you get a feel for the people in your space, what they're talking about, what the audience cares about, what posts are creating real, genuine conversations, and what language keeps coming up time and time again. So if you're a coach or a consultant, the feed can actually be like a really useful research tool. So you can use it to spot common pain points, or you could use it to see what questions people are asking. To see what you notice in terms of what your peers are actually talking about. You could use it to gather ideas for your own content. And what I want to say here, actually, one of the easiest ways to get visibility is to engage, to comment, right? So you may come across a post that's relevant, right? Go into the comments, see what the conversation looks like. Maybe you respond to the person who's posted, or maybe you start to engage with someone who's left a comment. Go ahead and leave something of value, leave some insight, share your thoughts, ask a question. This is one of the easiest low lift ways to actually get visibility on LinkedIn. So there's not a mandate, a requirement to post every day, but I would definitely encourage you to lean into commenting and to engage in. It's the best way to build your network, to start to get recognized, and to be a human. It's a social platform, so let's be sociable. All right, so let's go on to the My Network tab, right? So up here, I'm clicking on the My Network tab. And what I want to show you is that this is where all of your connections, your followers live. So this is one of the areas where people become really passive on LinkedIn. So they'll either wait for a connection request to come in, or they are sending out random connection requests to all and sundry, or they're accepting requests from people without much thought. So if you're using LinkedIn strategically, your network isn't just a list of names. Your network is part of your visibility, it's part of your lead generation ecosystem. So when you're looking at this section, I want you to think beyond the numbers. The question isn't just how many people can I connect with today? The question should be, am I building a relevant network? Am I building a network that's going to be responsive when I put out an offer? Are they going to respond when I put a post up? Those are the kinds of questions and things that you need to think about when you are curating and building your network. Because who you connect with will essentially determine your experience on the platform. If you are connecting with people who have no interest in what you do, they're not potential clients, they're not referral partners, there's no overlap between what they do and what you do, what's going to happen is they're not going to engage with your content. Also, what you're shown in terms of your feed, you're going to struggle to find things to engage with. And then LinkedIn just starts to feel very hard and very pointless. We want to be very intentional with what we see in our feed, with the conversations that we're having. We want to build our network intentionally. So thinking about, are you connecting with prospects? Are you connecting with referral partners? Are you connecting with podcast hosts or collaborators, industry peers? Those are the types of people that you should really intentionally start to connect with. Yeah, what happens is our profiles are often made up with people perhaps from careers or from our educational background. We're all in different spaces, we're all doing different things, and if you only stay stuck, and I say stay stuck, but you know what I mean, if we only stay with those individuals, then again LinkedIn just starts to feel hard and heavy. So when you are curating your network on LinkedIn, be intentional, right? Go out and look for the right people to connect with so that you can have the right conversations. If you have been in my world for any length of time, you've heard me say that it's conversations that lead to cash. And if you're not having the right conversations, then you're not being led to the cash. So I would much rather that you go after a small but relevant curated network that's far more useful than a large list of random people that you have no idea what they do, they have no idea what you do. So this isn't just an admin task. This is really relationship building, and that matters, especially for coaches, consultants, and expert led business owners. So let's get into your profile on LinkedIn. That is one of the most essential sections, essential areas. So let's flick over to the screen share. Now, the reason why I say that this is one of the most important areas on LinkedIn is because if somebody sees your content, maybe they read one of your posts or they read a comment that you've left, or maybe they get referred to you by somebody else, or your name comes up in search, right? This is where they're likely to land, right? This is where they're going to head to. And this is where a lot of opportunities are either strengthened or lost, right? So for coaches and consultants, your LinkedIn profile is not just an online CV. It is really a landing page. Think of it as like your own personal website that's hosted by LinkedIn, who has an excellent domain authority, right? So we are piggybacking off of LinkedIn's brand, their credibility. And the reason why that's important is because that means that your profile can be found and surfaced in AI searches, in search engine searches, right? So on Google and other platforms. So it's really important that we prioritize optimizing our profile. And by optimizing, it might sound like a fancy word or something that you've not come across. It simply means to make your profile as good as it can be, right? So let's set it up, let's fill out all the sections, give as much information that allows LinkedIn to be able to position you in front of the right people, because it needs to help those people who have landed on your profile to quickly understand who you help, what you do, what you help them with, why they should trust you, and what they should do next. That's one of the biggest failings that I see. People do all of this incredible work in terms of posting, engaging, but then they don't have what I call a LinkedIn funnel to move somebody to a next step. So that is one of the things that you really do need to prioritize. And I have a video where I broke down my 5-step framework, the LinkedIn lean funnel framework, right? That helps you to go from just somebody consuming your content to them becoming a client. So I'll link that video below, and maybe in one of the cards if I can attach it. All right, so we'll start at the top, right? So we're going to start with your LinkedIn banner, and your banner and your headline should work together in tandem, right? So you can only say so much in a banner. The headline should expand on the message that your banner is communicating. And really, the banner is like your positioning statement. It's what helps you to share your value proposition, to maybe have some credibility markers. Maybe you've got some logos of clients that you've worked with. Putting that here allows somebody in a few seconds to really get a good understanding of what it is that you do. A lot of people skip over this and neglect this area by just leaving the blue banner that LinkedIn has as a placeholder, expecting you to put something there, or they'll have something that's not relevant to what they do. So yeah, definitely optimize this space, leverage this space. Canva has templates that you could easily grab and amend, or you could create one with AI, right? So it could be done literally in a couple of minutes. And the next section that you need to make sure you've optimized is your headline, and your headline travels with you. So when you comment, when you send a DM, when you are in one of the LinkedIn events, your headline is shown. So you want to make sure that you've got the relevant keywords. You want to make sure that it's clear, that you're not confusing people. Confused minds don't buy. So make sure that your headline, as I've said, supports the banner that you have here. And this just allows you to unpack it more detail as somebody continues on through your profile. The next section that somebody would come to is your about section, right? And this area here, again, it should be a continuation from the banner to the headline to the about section. The about section, the first few lines are visible. So before somebody actually clicks the more button, right, what they see is these first 4 lines. So think about what you need to have here to entice somebody to want to see more, to entice somebody to be intrigued, to be curious, to want to know more. Use the about section to tell some of your backstory, to speak to the transformation that you get, to let people know, do you want more speaking opportunities? Are you looking to get onto podcasts? Put that detail in your about section, and then please end with a strong call to action. I see too many about sections that are wonderfully written, but then they don't direct somebody to the next step. So make sure you have a call to action in your about section. This section here, your services, this is like a marketplace on LinkedIn. How many of you knew? Drop in the comments that LinkedIn had a marketplace for the services that you deliver. Think of like Upworks or Fiverr. LinkedIn has a similar setup, right? So there is a marketplace that sits behind LinkedIn where people can search for a particular service or a particular skill. And if you have set your services page up, what happens is you will be surfaced, you'll be presented in those results. So as a coach or a consultant, please make sure that you've turned your services section on for lead generation, for client acquisition, and for greater opportunities on the platform. The next thing that you come to is the featured section. Again, people neglect this, overlook this. They leave it up to LinkedIn to choose what to put here. You should be curating what I call the funnel, your pipeline, the user journey, customer journey. Curate that here. So, what is it that you want to get into the hands of someone who has landed on your profile, right? So, think of maybe a lead magnet, some free resource. That's just a term if you're not familiar with that word. It's a free resource that you give to somebody. Think about like when you go into a mall, you always get someone offering you a pretzel, cinnamon pretzel, right? So you have a little bite of it, and before you know it, you're stood in the line to buy. That's what a lead magnet is, right? So think about, what is it you could give somebody? Is it a free webinar? Is it a checklist? Is it a Claude artifact? What is a freebie that would be of value? And also links to your bigger offer. That's the important thing. We don't want to just chuck freebies at people. We want to make sure that it, again, continues to move them along. So in me giving you a freebie, a free resource, it should connect to the bigger thing that I sell, the bigger problem that I solve, but I solve a small problem in that free resource. I'm sure I've spoken about lead magnets before. Again, I will link to a video that goes into more depth around how you can use your lead magnets as a visibility anchor. Now, let's talk about content broadly, right? Because for many people, content is the part of LinkedIn that they focus on most. So, yes, content does matter, but the goal isn't just to be active for being active's sake. Your goal is to use content to strengthen your positioning. Your content really should help someone to understand the work that you do, the way that you think, what you believe, what your values are, your perspective, because all of that matters. So if you are a coach or a consultant, like, this is doing more than just filling a feed, right? You're building trust, you are creating familiarity, you're helping the right people to identify themselves in the work that you do. You're allowing them to raise their hand to say, I want to know more. This is relevant to me. Can we explore this further? So you're giving people reasons to remember you. And also, if somebody comes to your profile and maybe the service that you offer isn't for them, through your content, they have a very good understanding of what you do and can begin to refer you. So they become an amplifier of your message. So these are the different content types that you have on LinkedIn, right? So you've just got regular posts, comments, and I include comments as a content type, right? Videos, images, articles, newsletters, events, documents. Documents are PDFs. So think of a carousel that you would find on Instagram. On LinkedIn, you have to upload it as a PDF, but essentially somebody can swipe through the various slides in your carousel, but you have to upload it as a PDF. But that's essentially what it is. One thing that I want to stress, right? Not every post has to be deep and dramatic or viral, right? So sometimes a simple insight is enough. Sometimes a client win, a client lesson is enough. Or maybe just like some type of myth busting, or something that speaks to something in your industry that you have a different perspective on. Maybe it's having like behind the scenes, maybe you're speaking at an event and you are showing like your preparation, or like the green room, perhaps. Maybe there's a photo of you in the green room and you're sharing just like your preparation for speaking. All of that is enough. What matters is that your content reinforces what you want to be known for. So rather than trying to say everything, I'm going to encourage you to focus on a few core themes, a few core ideas that you keep coming back to over and over again. I did a live webinar on exactly that, how to build topic authority, because that is what LinkedIn is prioritizing. People who have gone deep into a few topics, that they essentially become the go-to person in that particular arena, niche, or domain. I will link to that. Go check that out, because what I would hate for you to do is to be talking about 11 billion different things and then LinkedIn being completely confused by you and therefore suppressing your content and not showing it to anyone else. I go into detail in that webinar, so be sure to check that out. Essentially, your content is what helps you to build authority. So it's not just a box ticking exercise. It really is something that can help you to get leads, clients, and opportunities. All right, guys, let's go back up to the top. I want to dig into about the notification section, because this is one of, like, again, the most overlooked parts on LinkedIn. A lot of people treat notifications as like an annoyance, background noise, when actually it can be really useful. This section shows who is engaging with your content, who is mentioning you. If I click in, right, I'll be able to show you. So we can see who has engaged on your posts, who is mentioning you, who's reacting, who's commenting. And this is like literally giving you a natural opener for interaction, for engagement. So instead of thinking of your notification as something to clear, think of them as prompts. If somebody comments on your post, that's a moment to like continue the conversation. If somebody starts to engage with your content on a regular basis, they're essentially sending you a signal. If somebody shares something that's relevant to your expertise, right, that might be a moment for you to lean in and to actually contribute. LinkedIn works best when you use the platform as a place for interaction, not just broadcasting. So the notification section really can help you to stay warm, stay visible, and responsive. Now let's talk about messaging, because this is the place where people either freeze completely or they go in too harsh, too aggressive, and start to pitch slap every single person who connects with them. And this is the fastest way for LinkedIn to feel awkward and transactional, and for people to block and avoid you. And we don't want that. So instead, think of your inbox on LinkedIn as a place where warm conversations can continue. So the conversations that were happening on the feed, bring that into your inbox, bring that into your DMs, and continue to nurture, continue to understand the individuals. Like, do they have the problem that you solve? You will only know that through a conversation. Let me just encourage you here, because I've experienced this, and so have clients that I've worked with and people that I've spoken to. Often you end up securing a client, and this person has never engaged with you. They've never commented on one of your posts, but they've sat quietly in your audience observing you. They've sat quietly consuming your content and never saying a word. However, when the time is right, they will slide into your DMs to ask for a discovery call or to ask how they can work with you. The strongest and most valuable DMs often come out of seemingly thin air, right? But that doesn't happen every day. What does happen on a daily basis is that you will get DMs from people who have seen your content, and maybe they've got questions, maybe they replied to a post that you've put onto LinkedIn and you follow up in the DMs. You will continue the conversation. Essentially, again, they're showing some kind of signal that they're aware of you and they're open to having a further conversation. And I think that that completely changes the energy. So rather than thinking of how do I sell in the DMs, like, I would encourage you to think like, how can I continue this conversation naturally? Like, just be a human, be a person who just is genuinely intrigued, genuinely helpful to others on the platform. Obviously, you don't want to give away your services for free, but you want to be helpful. You want to be able to be abundant and be generous. And we can definitely do that on this platform. So the types of things that you could be doing in your inbox, maybe you use it to follow up with somebody after they've commented on your content, or maybe you've met somebody in real life at an event, right? So you've connected at the event, you then send a DM to, continue that conversation. Maybe you are replying to a question or thanking somebody for like engaging genuinely, or maybe you are referring somebody to a relevant next step after a conversation that's already started. As I've said, conversations is what leads to cash, and it's in your inbox that that happens on LinkedIn, right? Because content opens the door, but the conversations and the DMs is actually what moves them through the house. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. So, yeah, there are different features that you can utilize. There's a focused mode. So, some of your messages may go into your other inbox, and I would encourage you to check that. I'm not always the best at that. But this is where LinkedIn uses machine learning and determines potential like spam or messages that maybe are not so relevant. But sometimes what can happen is the wrong people get put into your other inbox. So be sure to check that as well. You can filter by unread, so you can keep it organized and orderly. You could star messages. So I use this almost like a CRM of sorts, right? So the people that I want to follow up with, the people that I want to nurture and continue the conversations, I star the messages so that they don't fall between the cracks. So when you look at LinkedIn like this, you start to realize that it's not just like a random collection of tabs. Each part plays a specific role, right? So the homepage is where you listen, learn, and engage. Your network is where you build relevance and connectivity, start to really position yourself as that go-to person. Your profile is what helps to convert attention essentially, and then your content is where you build trust, is where you build authority. The notifications is the spot to get momentum. And then your inbox, so your messages, is what helps you to continue warm conversations. So that's the ecosystem on LinkedIn. And when you use it in that way, it starts to feel more strategic and far less random, right? Because what often happens is that people use LinkedIn in disconnected pieces, and then they wonder why LinkedIn doesn't work. So they'll post something now and again. They'll tweak their profile every now and again. And then they'll reply to messages when they remember. But the pieces, when they start to work together, that's when LinkedIn becomes much more useful and a business tool for growth. So someone does see your content, they click through to your profile, they understand what you do, they keep seeing you over and over again, they engage, a conversation starts, and that is where opportunities become possible, right? That's the flow that you want. So, my loves, if LinkedIn has felt busy, confusing, overwhelming, I really hope that this video has helped you to start to see the platform in a different light, not just as a place to post, but as a place to build meaningful connections, to get visibility, to find your ideal clients, and to really position yourself as the go-to person in your space. If this video was helpful, go ahead and like and subscribe and drop a comment. Let me know which part of your profile you have been underutilizing. So is it your profile? Is it your content? Is it your notifications? Is it your DMs? Let me know, right, where you're at. And if LinkedIn is a priority for you in your business, hop into the LinkedIn Strategy Lab, my free community for solopreneurs, coaches, consultants, authors, coaches, all the things. We are literally building our LinkedIn strategy as a community, supporting one another, giving feedback, but also prioritizing the things that matter and the things that move the needle. Hop into the community. I'll drop the link below. And I literally can't wait to be back in front of you with another video. Take care. I'll see you soon.